What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Pit Crew Podcast, episode number 23. I'm so pumped. I'm back here with Cameron Romano. We got a special guest coming on here in one moment. It's going to be Jesse Iwuji. Oh, I'm so excited for this one. So excited. Cameron, let's hear it, man. You ready?
Absolutely. We took a couple weeks off. I'm excited to be back. I know DLB is excited to be back, and we got a bunch of stuff in store for later on down the road. But for now, let's bring in our special guest, Mr. Jesse Iwuji.
Jesse, my man. How was it at Daytona? We want to hear about the experience.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. Thanks for having me on the show today, and yeah, it was good being back at Daytona. I've been going there for quite a few years now. It's like my 10th year in racing now, which is crazy. But yeah, just being back at Daytona, obviously, all the great feelings and emotions of being there. The World Center of Racing, obviously, NASCAR's biggest weekend of the year to start, and it starts the year too. And it was really great to be back in the Xfinity garage there, and really kind of kicking off this new journey that we're doing. Obviously, we created our NASCAR Xfinity Series team, Jesse Iwuji Motorsports, a few years ago. And after the 2022 season, 2023 and 2024, we were more part-time. And then we were trying to figure out, what's the best way to try to get back to full-time. We figured, we have cars, we have a shop, we still have all that stuff. Everything we had in 2022, we still have everything. We're like, what's the best way to do this? We're like, why not join forces with another organization that's, already doing what we're doing, that we feel like would be a great alliance, and we have a lot of things that we can bring to the table for them. They have some things that they can bring to the table for us. We join forces and we go into this together. That's what we decided to do. JIM and DGM, and it's called DGM X JIM. But yeah, we're now aligned, and we're going to track each weekend together, and we look forward to just continue to put all of our resources together to put together the best product. I mean, it was a pretty solid start for the year with a P14, P23, and it could have been better if we didn't get continue to get caught up in other people's mess. But even with the craziness happening around us and some of the stuff that really could have taken us out like very early, we were able to continue to push past it. With Josh and Ryan behind the wheel, great drivers, and we look forward to this upcoming weekend coming up. We got Atlanta coming up, and we got 3 cars going out there, and we should have all three in the race, and we're looking forward to them running well. Trying to make their way up front at some point. Dodging the carnage and staying on track and just finding a way to stay in it, because at the end of the day, in order to win, you must first finish. So we got to get to the end, especially when you run these pack type races. So it's going to be a pretty exciting year. It's going to be a lot of great stuff going on. We just look forward to growing the relationship, growing this alliance, building it up to something that is huge, and it's going to be fun.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. It was really fun having you at the track. Just your energy, everything was great. And before we even got to the race, I mean, we had Amelia at the track, Amelia Hartford, which was incredible. We got a cool piece filmed with for the network for NASCAR, which was CW. And just overall, that video got like 3 million freaking views on it. It was crazy. So I appreciate both of you for letting me be a part of that. But the weekend was great. You set up on top of the pit box. You were dialed in. You were focused. You were up there locked in like a full-on car owner. I loved it. It was so cool having you at the track. But let's back it up a little bit and go back to, when did you get into NASCAR? Was it at a very young age, or did it come later on in life? And what got you into the position where you want to go racing?
You know what? So I don't have the typical story of every other driver that you see in the garage, right? Most drivers, they'll all tell you they started racing when they're really young, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, whenever they started. And then they just kind of work their way up from there. A lot of them come from, backgrounds where they had the resources to make it happen. I didn't come from racing at all. I'm from Texas, Dallas, Texas. I grew up playing football in Texas. Football is the biggest sport in Texas. I had this big goal and dream to go off to college and play the highest level of college football possible, and I was able to make it. I got to the Naval Academy, played Division 1A football, played on the winning team, won. We were winning games at all 4 years. Went to bowl games all 4 years. We won our final bowl game against Missouri. Beat Notre Dame twice while I was at the Naval Academy. Almost beat Ohio State once. That was fun. But it was fun playing football, and then graduated, became an officer in the Navy. And my first duty station, I was stationed down in San Diego, California. In San Diego, I spent 4 years there. During those 4 years, I was on two different ships, went on two different deployments, so one each ship. And in between all that, when I did have free time, when I was back home at my duty station, anytime I would have a free weekend, I would take my personal cars to tracks. I had a Dodge Challenger. I'll take it to the drag strip and do these open drag days. And then I eventually bought a C6 Z06 Corvette, and then I would take it to road course tracks in Southern California and do open track days. And after a couple of years of doing this, I just randomly one day, I think it was in 2014, I just had a thought. I was like, you know what? Like, what if I tried to pursue racing as a thing? Because I wasn't playing college football anymore at that point. I was, graduated from college for a few years. I was done with that. So I was like, what's the next big thing? And I figured, why don't I try to get into racing? I really like cars. I really like racing. Why not? And I knew that obviously I was going to start way behind everybody else because I was like, what, 25, 26 or whatever at that point. So I was already behind everyone by like 20 years. So I figured, you know what? I'm going to come in. I'm going to do just as good as I can. I'm going to have good days, I'll have bad days. But I just knew that my goal was just to be a pro driver and just get to the highest level I can, and do the best with it that I can. And that's what kind of pushed me to start going down this NASCAR journey. One thing kind of led to another. I first started off with late models, right? And racing is not cheap, and racing is not free. So I had to figure out how to cover the cost for my racing because it's not free. So I had to try to find some sponsorship. That was really difficult. Then I started my own business to make some extra money. So I used like a little bit of sponsorship I would find, and then the business money that I was creating, and from there put it together to kind of get myself into racing. And then as time went on, eventually I found more sponsorship than what I was making on the business side, money wise, and then that allowed me to continue to progress forward, into more series, from late models to the NASCAR K&N series to the ARCA series, NASCAR Trucks, and then NASCAR Xfinity. And for me, like I said, like my whole goal was to just go out there, just do the best that I can. I knew that once again, starting very late, I wasn't going to come out there and just be winning. It's crazy because there's a lot of people who sometimes think that I should just be winning and winning and winning, and because I'm not, that I'm just whatever, And I'm like, man, it'd be actually kind of crazy if I started racing 20 plus years after everybody, and immediately at the gate was just kicking everybody's butt. Like that wouldn't be good for a lot of people, because then what's that saying about the drivers in the sport then? So obviously it takes time. It takes a lot of seat time, a lot of experience to be even able to be competitive, and let alone to be able to win in the sport. And then also to having the right resources. You can be as talented and as skilled as possible, but if you don't have the right vehicles or the team behind you, you'll never you'll never win. So it's very difficult to get to that winning stage. And for me, I would love to at some point, but really, I mean, the goal is just to go out there, just be the best that I can be. Like me personally, if that's going and getting the top 15 for a day, then that's great. If it's getting just a 29th place finish for that day, then that's just the best I am that day. So try to stay positive, just keep positive energy, but also too, just going on this journey, it's really inspired a lot of folks and motivated a lot of folks to go after their goals and dreams. I get countless messages from people. They'll send me DMs saying, hey, I want to be like you. I want to get into racing, or I want to get into the business world, or I want to get into the military, or I want to just accomplish whatever it is. And by them seeing me going after this very, quote unquote, impossible, journey, they're seeing me do it and actually get through it, no matter what the costs are, no matter what the situation is. I'm finding a way to make it happen, with massive faith to God, of course. Without God, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I'm doing. And by people seeing this, it's giving them the opportunity for them to say like yes to their goals and yes to their dreams. And like that means a lot to me, that I'm able to make that kind of impact on people's lives, where they're actually going out and achieving their dreams because they saw me do it, and because I helped them somehow, some way, whether it's advice, information, resources, networking, whatever it is. And like I said, I get like countless messages like every single week for the last 10 years of my life, of people wanting to get somewhere, and they're reaching out to me because I'm the only one who will actually answer them and give them the time of day to try to help them. And if not me, then who, right? So the more I can help other people achieve their dreams, hopefully I achieve mine as well.
That's incredible, and you truly are an inspiration to many. I remember when you came up on the NASCAR scene, the big thing was about military and Navy, and just we got to see you behind a wheel of a car, and we were impressed by it. Will you be back behind a wheel at any point this year with the partnership of DGM?
Yeah, that's the goal. The goal right now, we have a couple drivers who are running most of the season. We got Josh and Ryan Ellis. CJ's jumping in here and there. We're working on some other drivers potentially jumping in and having some opportunities as well. All become all obviously it's very sponsorship driven, right? So folks with sponsorship are jumping in and doing their thing. I do look forward to eventually getting behind the wheel too as well. At some point, which races exactly those are yet, not fully sure yet. Once again, it's very sponsorship driven. Just because you're like even when we were doing our own thing solo dolo back in 2022, like every race that I jumped in to go run, like it's not like it doesn't cost anything for me, or even on the owner of a team, it still costs me just as much to go run as if somebody else jumps into the car and runs. So we always got to think of, okay, how are the costs being covered? Because at the end of the day, it's all business, and in order to make it to the end of the year and then make it to the next year and the year after that, is you got to be smart on the business side and make sure that all the costs are being covered, and hopefully there's extra money left over. But at the end of the day, you got to be able to make sure that everything makes business sense. So yeah, I would love to get behind the wheel. Still going to do it at some point this year, and I look forward to doing it more next year and the year after that and the year after that.
So I know that being a car owner isn't new to you. I know you had Kyle Weatherman drive for you in the past. Is it, as a driver and you're sitting up on the pit box, is it hard to balance being the driver and the car owner? Or you're like, hey, maybe you should have ran that corner differently, or you just locked in like, okay, what does the car need? Is it too tight? Like, how is it with that balance between doing both?
When you're doing both, you're always just trying to keep in mind all aspects, the whole big picture, right? The driver, like what they're feeling. I mean, the great thing for me is, I do drive, so I do understand what they experience inside the car. On a hot day, cold day, if the car's feeling a certain way, I can look at it on track and see certain things happening, and I understand where they're coming from. Not everyone can say, like, there's like, for example, like there's great crew chiefs out there, but they've never maybe driven an Xfinity car before. So you might be telling them something and they're like, what the heck, I shouldn't be doing that. But for them, they probably don't fully understand it because they've never really been behind the wheel of that kind of car. So they don't really know. And then there's, great crew chiefs and folks who have been behind the wheel, so they do understand. So for me, I've been able to kind of see it from all different kind of lens, from the business aspect, ownership, driving. Love driving our Chevy Camaros; they're amazing, and obviously huge props to Chevrolet for being a partner of ours, jumping on board again this year. We've been a partner with GM since 2022, and to renew that partnership again for 2025 was huge. And it's allowing us to make this alliance happen with all the different support that GM and Chevy can provide, that helps our team grow, become better, helps the drivers become better as well. We're going to put that all together. But yeah, being able to see it from all different kind of lens is interesting. It's different, but I know my lane, right? Like I don't try to step on the toes of all the other people doing their jobs, right? At the end of the day, for a team to function, every single person in that, a member in the organization, has to do their job. People shouldn't be stepping over people's shoes. Everyone needs to stay in their line, in their lane, and do their thing. Now, obviously, if you see something that's blatantly wrong, obviously step up and point it out. But if people are doing their thing and they're getting stuff done and they're executing, we'll let them do it.
Absolutely. One thing I was really impressed with is, first off, your Facebook follower count being, you told me, over 800,000 followers, but the influencers that you are collabing with and making content with are massive. How has it been networking and working with different content creators? Over the weekend, you were drifting. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, it sounds like you're just living the lifestyle right now.
Yeah, definitely all over the place. Yeah, that I have multiple social media pages. One of my many social media pages, one of them on Facebook. It's not my Jesse Iwuji racing one, but it's another one. It's geared towards like JDM vehicles. I like JDM vehicles a lot. Of course, a huge Chevy fan because I have multiple Chevys, 3 Corvettes, but I do like JDM cars too, old JDM cars, not the new ones, the old ones. But yeah, that particular page has like 800,000, maybe 900,000. I gotta go check. I have multiple pages all through social media and stuff. I just do car content. But this past weekend, we had a couple big influencers at the track who were with us and creating content with us. Actually, we had one at the track with us, and then one that I actually went and visited in between our qualifying and the race. And Amelia Hartford, she's a famous actress from Gran Turismo movie. And then she's also done a ton of car content stuff, big YouTube channel, you name it. She was with us creating a lot of cool content and stuff. And then when we went to on Saturday, in between qualifying and the race, we had about like a 4 hour break or so, 5 hour break. And in between that, we went over to Adam LZ's compound. So anybody who knows Adam LZ, huge YouTuber in the car world, he also is a Formula Drift driver, so he's a professional driver himself as well. He has this really cool compound in Florida where it's like a bunch of buildings. It's just like a little kind of like, I don't know, like industrial complex that he bought, but like he turned it into like his own little like drift course around it too as well, in between the shops and stuff. So he handed me the keys to an E36 drift car, and I've never been there before. First time there, I just did a couple little figure eights at first just to kind of get used to like the steering angle on the car, and then I just sent it. The video's on my Instagram page, you can see it. But yeah, I didn't like practice or anything. I'm like, I kind of surprised myself because I've finally gotten to a point now with my drifting skills to be able to not have to even practice like any particular course. As long as I like got a feel of what that car feels like, I can go link every corner out of track like anywhere. So that's cool. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll compete in Formula Drift. Who knows?
I love it. The horizons are opened for every opportunity. Drifting, NASCAR, everything. I love it. That's impressive. I mean, I can't wait to go check out some of that footage. I haven't seen it yet. But obviously, you got a love for Corvettes. Does that start at a young age, or did that happen as you gotten older and just like, hey, these are my cars. I love them. I don't want anything else.
I love Corvettes because there's amazing vehicles. This is besides like the Chevy partnership and all that stuff. I've had Corvettes since before that. Before I even started racing NASCAR, I had a Corvette. So they're amazing vehicles. They pound for pound usually are the best in their class. Period. Like there isn't anything that can compete. If you look at all the different facets of a sports car and what it can do, from its street ability to its track ability, there really isn't any other sports car ever in any generation that across the board destroys the Corvette. You can't, it just doesn't happen. Yeah, there's some cars that are faster in a straight line. Yeah, there's some cars that are maybe quicker around some corners, but you put it all together, they just can't be like, so for example, I have a C6 Z06 Corvette, which I use as my drift car. I have a C8 E-Ray and then a C8 Z06. I had a C7 Z06 as well, but I just sold it to somebody. But even a C6 Z06, that car is a 7-liter V8, so 427 cubic inches, 505 horsepower from the factory, 3,100 pounds. It has a trunk capacity that you can fit a snowboard diagonally in there, plus 2 big luggage bags, plus more. In fact, in my trunk right now in my drift car, as we speak, I have two 18-inch wheels and tires. I have a jack. I have jack stands. I have a tool bag. I have a big jug thing for water. I have other parts and things and all this stuff, and that trunk can still close. Like, what cars can do that? And by the way, the car still makes 580 horsepower, so it'll supercharged. I can drive it all the way to a drift track and drive it all the way to home. No trailer needed. And it has 224,000 miles on it. Original motor, never been refreshed. Like you can't name other cars that can do exactly what I just said right there. You can't. Like you can't. So Corvettes, they're the best. And anybody who wants to battle me on that, I can battle because I got facts, and my facts will beat anyone's opinions any day.
Absolutely. You have me sold. I mean, a Corvette has always been my dream car, so maybe one day we'll be able to get that done. But geez, I can't believe you fit all that in the trunk. With that said,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass you over to Cameron Romano. He's gonna have some good questions for you.
Yeah. I know you're obviously you're not in the car this season, but when you were racing,
Not yet.
Not oh,
Yeah,
not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet.
there's
Okay.
no stepping away from the sea.
There
I'll stop
is
racing
no
until I stop racing.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. Get this man in a full-time ride ASAP.
I don't need to be full time. Part time is great for me. I don't have to be full time, but I
Okay.
definitely will still be racing.
Just put him in the car. You've come up through the ranks. You raced in the K&N series. You raced in ARCA. You've raced in trucks, and you raced in Xfinity. Which division or which series was the most difficult?
Most difficult, definitely Xfinity for sure. Because I mean, I did like a few Xfinity races towards the end of 2020, but like going into like 2021, 2022, 2023, 24, whatever, it's definitely gotten a lot more difficult because every team decided to kind of really step up their game, right? You go back to pre-pandemic, there was a lot of teams who would like wouldn't even like use like not when I say a lot, like like the back half of the field, right? They wouldn't even do like pull down all the time. They would kind of just put together whatever they put together, get to the track, and just figure it out. Like you could clearly see there's like three different classes. You have like the front of the pack, the mid pack, and back of the pack. Then it's just kind of transformed where it's kind of like the front, and then everybody else is like there's a good majority of the field has the capability, skills, and car to get top 15 finishes. Whereas before it was only like 15 cars maybe that could actually really potentially get top 15. Everybody else will just never get it. We'll just never get it. So everybody just is just really good. And what one thing I noticed too about the Xfinity series, if you just look up and down the series, obviously there's new people that jump into the series every single year, but like a lot of the field are people who've been racing Xfinity for a long time. They're so when I first started racing in 2015, I was racing late models and jumped into NASCAR K&N, all that stuff. Did the K&N West and E Series, 2016, 17, 18ish before I did ARCA. And during those years, there was a lot of the Xfinity drivers you see now, that was kind of like their first year or two or whatever at that time. Those same guys are still in, like once again, 8, 9 years later. So like these people, they just became career Xfinity guys. So they are so experienced and so much more knowledgeable now and so much better than when they were like years ago. And they just kind of stayed in. So it's not like the series is just new faces every year. So everybody's still kind of learning throughout the year, and they're better towards the end of the year, but maybe not so great at the beginning of the year. Like that's not the case. It's just people show up day one and they're just good because they're like 10 years into the series or more. So I think that's what's made it definitely difficult. Unlike ARCA and stuff like that, like those guys, they don't. There are a few career ARCA folks, but most of them are just new faces. They're like in there for a year or two, then out. They just jumped up from late model, so they have a lot of learning and progression throughout the year. Whereas if you had ARCA folks who had just been in ARCA for 10 years, the whole field, they're just gonna be really really good at what they do and very difficult to try to beat those guys.
Yeah. I know we're only one race into the 2025 season, and already I can see that the competition has definitely ramped up in as compared to like recent years. Um, my next question before I pass it back to DLB, you've done quite a bit of traveling. You took your personal car over to Japan at one point, is that correct?
Yes, yeah, my R. So I have a Skyline R34 GTR. It's a 1999, 25, 26 years old now. So it's considered a classic. But I actually bought it in Japan, and I obviously from the Fast and the Furious movies, Too Fast Too Furious back in the day, and then the Gran Turismo video games, Need for Speed video games, Forza video games, all those games from back in the day, kind of for folks who were kids during that time, which I was a kid. I was like in high school, but early high school. Seeing these movies, playing these games, we all kind of fell in love with a lot of these kind of old school cars. And for me, I fell in love with the Skyline GTRs, and I knew one day I wanted one, but unfortunately for those particular cars, you couldn't import them to the U.S. until they're 25 years old. So I bought one a few years ago, and I didn't want to like leave it just sitting there in Japan. So I was like, hey, why don't I fly out to Japan and experience the car out there? I can go to the cool car meets, experience the Japanese car culture, track the car there. I went to Suzuka Circuit, did a track day there once, did a multiple track days at Fuji Speedway, and did a couple track days at Scuba Circuit as well. So to be able to kind of go out there, experience track days there, drive the car out there, experience the car culture is really, really cool and kind of like a dream come true.
One final question. How's the car culture in Japan compared to over here in the US?
It is there. Everyone's really respectful. That's definitely one thing. There's people aren't usually doing dumb things for the most part. So there's sometimes you go to a car meet out here, people are like I don't know, doing burnouts or doing stupid stuff or whatever, and kind of burning the spot, right? Whereas in Japan, they're way more respectful, usually not doing that kind of stuff. Also, too, the cars for the most part. You go to the good meets at least. All the cars are just so top notch. The build quality is so great. Everything is so clean. They take really good pride in their cars. Whereas here, you still have some of that, but then a lot of folks are just bringing their like crap boxes too. And like I guess here in the U.S. we're more inclusive, but like no one's embarrassed to bring a crap box. But there they would be. They wouldn't do that because it's a sense of pride and honor. Like this is me. Like this is a representation of me. Like this car. Like you're not gonna bring a crap box. That's why you know people just kind of revere the Japanese car culture more because they just have so much more pride in their vehicles. So I love the car culture out there. It is definitely smaller than here in the U.S. People want to think that it's bigger there. It's actually not. It's smaller because there's less people. But it's just way more. I don't know. It feels more exclusive. I don't. It's hard to kind of say. It's just cool. You have to be there. You just have to be there.
That's one of the things that I have to do on my bucket list. I got to go to a car meet in Japan at least once. All right, I'm going to pass it back to DLB to see if he has any more questions for you. DLB, take it away.
Absolutely. So we have heard about multiple of your cars. I want to know what the car collection is. Like, how many is there? Which one is your favorite? And I just want to know what's behind the car collection.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small collection. I don't have a massive collection. I'm not like Jay Leno or anything like that.
Not yet.
Yeah, one day. I gotta make some money first. I've been spending more money than me. I obviously, like I said, I have the '99 Skyline R34 GTR. I have three Corvettes. I have a C6 Z06, which is now my drift car. I've had that since 2013, so like 12 years now. I have a C8 Z06, 2023, and then a 2024 C8 E-Ray, which is all-wheel drive hybrid Corvette. All amazing vehicles, love them all. Create content with all of them on my YouTube channels, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. They're just really fun vehicles. I just love cars in general. Obviously being a big Chevy guy, I love Chevy, but I respect all cars, right? Except Mustangs. But besides that, no, I'm just kidding. I like them.
We a Chevy team here.
I like them. I like Mustangs. They're cool. Ford has done a great job, with their newer Coyotes and stuff like that, especially in the trucks too. They've done a phenomenal job. So I respect all cars. Every make model, they're great. But if you want to ask me what's the most dominant, it's Corvettes all day. It just is. It just is.
Absolutely. So I want to know what's a day in the life for Jesse Iwuji from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, being a race car driver, content creator, businessman, stuff with the Navy, everything. Like, I want to know what's the day in the life for Jesse.
Yeah, well, once each month for sure, whether it's a weekend or a week or a few days, 4 days or whatever, anywhere from 2 to 7 days, I'm doing Navy stuff every month. So I'm like doing a Navy drill. Out, whether it's in San Diego, Moreno Valley, wherever it is, across the country, across the world, I'm doing Navy stuff. So that happens every single month. And in between those days that I'm doing that, I'm having to still stay up on like different meetings and calls and stuff we got to do to keep coordinating different things and make sure that the country stays in one piece. So I'm doing that, right? But I'm in the reserve, so obviously it's part time. I'm not doing it full time anymore. I'm in the reserves now. But every month of my life, I'm doing something with the Navy. Outside of that, each day, my normal days when I'm not doing Navy stuff, I'm up, between 7:30 in the morning, and I go out, and I'm not sorry, go out. I wake up, I immediately jump on my emails, jump into like my messages and stuff on social media and stuff to check, kind of see what opportunities might be coming up. Things, people, random things just land in my lap sometimes, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. Like I want to go do this. I want to go here. Go to this event, do this and that, or maybe it's a potential sponsor or something like that. So looking through all that stuff, going through my emails, ton of stuff come through the night and in the morning. So going through that, knocking it out, get a lot of emails. From there, sometimes I go work out in the morning, sometimes I do in the evening, just depends on what day it is or what's going on. Throughout the day, just working on every business opportunity that pops up. I have multiple businesses. I have a trucking business. I have a real estate investing business. I have a film production company. I have an esports company, ERA, e-racing association. We put on big sim racing events. We give out $5,000 cash prizes for the events. We also do Forza events as well. So these are huge for any sim racer out there who wants to earn some money. Literally jump into our events and just go finish in top five, and you're making some money. You go win it, you got $4,000 coming to you. And then I do a little bit of government contracting too as well, for federally, and I'm working on doing some state stuff for the state. Um, and then yeah, that's most of my business stuff I'm doing. And then yeah, like I said, working on that all day, make sure I get my workout in, get my sim racing time too as well. I jump on a sim for an hour, hour and a half each day, just train on different things. I used to just do strictly NASCAR on there, but then I started venturing out and doing some more, not dirt, but I do some dirt too, but sports car stuff on there. I do some drifting on there as well, and just try to do what I can to stay sharp. At some point, a few times a day, we'll eat and yeah, go to bed super late night. So I'm up, I don't know, 17 hours or so on average each day. And I try to make the most of each day and grind and just work on everything that I can work on for that day. Don't get through everything, but I do the most that I can and wake up the next day ready to fight again.
7 jobs. I don't think you get a second to yourself throughout the day. That is nuts. I did not know that. So you talked about the Navy, and my question is, obviously, I'm assuming it's because you love it, but what keeps you coming back? What keeps you still doing it even today for as long as you've been doing it?
For the Navy, I kind of made a goal to be able to do 20 years in the Navy. I'm at my 15-year point this year, so I got 5 more years before I can officially like retire. So I just kind of told myself, you know what, like instead of just doing active and just getting out, why not just stay in? And then for me, it's been great with my story of being this guy who's racing in NASCAR, who's also still serving. Um, it means a lot to a lot of people, right? And once again, like when not everyone is capable of doing both or doing half the things I'm doing. So by me doing all the things I'm doing, it shows people that they can do at least one thing in their life, maybe two. Yeah. So because if I'm not doing it, then once again, everyone will just believe the negativity out there, which is, oh, you can only do this, or you're not able to do this, or blah blah blah. I'm just kind of here to break that mold. Like whenever someone says that I can't do something or whatever, it's not possible, I'm just like, no, it is. As long as I see it in my mind, I clearly believe it. Like I can actually achieve it as long as I put, have massive faith, put massive effort and energy towards it, and then just grind, and no matter how many times you get knocked down, get back up one more time than how many times you get knocked down. And eventually, it works out. They say if you keep showing up at the barbershop, eventually someone's going to give you a haircut.
I completely agree with that. I mean, faith can go a long way. I know with my YouTube journey, I started when I was 18. Things started to work out a little bit by the time I was 23. I'm 27 now and got the Drive Smart deal and eventually got a job with DGM and just you gotta just when you got a goal, you got a dream, you gotta like just keep pushing for it till it works out and just stay focused. And that leads me to the next question: what advice would you give a young kid that wants to be in your position one day?
What the advice I would give them is first and foremost, you have to have the vision, right? You have to clearly in your mind see yourself accomplishing whatever that goal is. It has to be something that comes to you every single day. Like every single day, you just clearly see yourself becoming that. So you have to have a vision. If you don't have that vision, forget about it. You have to have the vision. Once you have the vision, from there you have to insanely and obsessively believe that it's possible. Um, other, other people won't believe it, right? And the reason why they don't believe it is not that they're trying to be negative. Some of them are, but not all of them. It's just that they don't see it, right? It's like God didn't put it in their head; He put it in your head and your head only. So you have to see it for yourself. Don't rely on other people. Don't rely on your mom, dad, friends, brother, cousin, whatever, people on social media to believe it for you. Who cares what anyone says? They were not given that vision. Only you. So if you were the only one who was given the map, why would anyone believe it? Like only you can. So you have to believe in it, and you have to insanely and obsessively believe in it. After you now have the vision and you believe in it, now you have to put action towards it every single day. Even if it's the smallest action or it's the biggest action, but every day just do something towards that goal. Somehow, some way, try to just move forward, connect with people, learn stuff, educate yourself, go practice it, train, Go earn money to save up to help you get there. Whatever it is, go do something towards it. And sometimes you got to do things you don't want to do so you can get to where you do want to get to. Sometimes it takes that, but do what you got to do to put action towards it every day. Now that you have the vision, you believe in it, and you put the action towards it, you're going to be starting down this journey. Let's start going down a journey. It's going to get dark. It's going to get cold. But the higher you want to go, the deeper you're going to have to dig. That's straight up construction right there. When you're building a skyscraper, which is what you're trying to do, you're trying to go after something big. The higher you want to build, the deeper you're going to have to dig. And guess what? When you dig deep, go outside in your backyard and try to dig a deep hole. You see, the first part is easy. The deeper you go, the colder it gets, the harder the soil gets, and the crazier things that you find. You start finding things down there. You might not like those things, but you got to keep digging and digging, because if you want to build something pretty big and tall, the deeper you're going to have to dig. So remember that. And also too, when it gets really cold and it gets really tough and it feels like it's becoming impossible, remember that even in the darkest point of night, the sun will still rise. It's still coming back up no matter what. You can think, oh, the world is over, everything's going terrible in my life, it's not working out anymore. Guess what? The sun's still coming back up tomorrow. So guess what? Nobody cares about what you're feeling about right now. Get back on the horse and go. Like, the sun is still showing up, so you better be right there to show up with it every single day. And as you're going through all that stuff, some people are going to reach out to you for help because they're going to see you grinding, trying to make it to this goal, and they're going to be inspired by you. And then while they're inspired by you, it's on you to give back. You got to help them. And when you're helping them, the reason why you're helping them is because, once again, we're trying to build this skyscraper, and a skyscraper looks really cool. Like, if you're looking at a city and you see a skyscraper, it looks beautiful. But you know what looks even more beautiful? Why be selfish and focus on your skyscraper when you can help those around you and you can all build a skyline? So remember that. Help those around you so you can build that skyline. So have the vision, insanely and obsessively believe in it, put action towards it every day. Don't give up, because the sun's going to show back up the next day. And while you're doing all this stuff, help everybody around you. That's my advice to anybody, kid, adult, elderly, whoever. That's my advice.
You worded that so beautifully that I got goosebumps that entire time. It's sounds like a lot of, almost in a sense of manifesting, with how you got to believe in yourself to keep going. And just as well as I do, when you got a dream, them dark days will come of where you're gonna get faced with something that you believe is almost a career ender, or it's gonna be a major setback or a major financial loss or something. How do you dig your way out of that when them dark days come?
You know what? When those dark days come, I kind of remember some of those items I just mentioned right there. I know that the sun is still going to show up tomorrow. The dark days are supposed to happen. Like, it's supposed to happen. You're climbing this mountain, right? Because that's what it is. When you're going after a goal and dream, you're climbing a mountain. Well, for anyone who's been to a mountain, what's a mountain like? At the bottom of the mountain, right? Like, you can see the top. It's very, very clear from 100 miles away as you're kind of getting to the base. Like, it's very clear where the top is. But once you get to the base and you try to start going up, it starts getting a little bit more steep. It starts becoming a little bit harder. You're in a forest too. When you're in that forest, can you see the top of the mountain anymore? You can't. You can't. So people get into the forest and they're climbing up, and it's getting hard, it's getting late, it's getting cold, the sun is setting, you're starting to hear some animals around, you're hurting, you're dehydrated, it's getting tough, you're getting like it's all bad as you're trying to go up, and then people quit. And it's like, why would you quit? Like, they're starting to think, oh man, maybe the top of the mountain isn't there anymore. You clearly saw that the top of the mountain is there. Now, just because you can't see it anymore because you're in the forest as you're going up the mountain doesn't mean that it disappeared. It's still there. So keep on going, because guess what? If for anyone who's ever hiked before, they completely understand this. When you're going up, it hurts, but guess what? Going back down after you quit hurts just as bad. So why not just keep going up and at least get something out of it?
Exactly. So after you get to a point where you feel like you achieved, if not all your goals or most of your goals, what keeps you motivated to keep showing up? You got 7 businesses that you're working on right now. What keeps you motivated every day to work as hard as you are still working?
One of the biggest motivations is I don't want to be a bum. There's too many bums out there, and I'm not about to be a bum dude. So That's my motivation right there. I cannot be a bum. I hate people who are bums. I hate that they're bums. I don't hate them as people, but I just hate that they're bums. So yeah, I can't be a bum. Like I gotta get up, grind, and make things happen. Like there's too much that can easily just crumble in my life if I don't get up and go. So like it's on me. That's the cool thing about being an entrepreneur. Like everything I do is working towards like something that continues to push me forward. I'm not just like just I'm not just running the circle of life and that's it. Like I'm like everything I do. If I wake up an hour earlier to go get something done and accomplish it, that's pushing me forward. So that's cool. But I have to get up. If I don't get up, somebody else is going to get up. And if they do, they're going to get there before me. Get there before me, they got it, and I did it. I lose, they win.
This is probably the realest conversation we have had on the podcast. I've never gone this like deep before, and it's really beautiful. And before we end the podcast, just tell me all about your goals and plans for the rest of 2025 and how many races are you going to be attending and just everything going on, whether if it's NASCAR, business, and just anything going on in your life before we cap this off.
You know what? I mean, just staying on the grind, working this year to have a successful year in the racing world, in NASCAR and wherever else racing takes me. Being able to get behind the wheel again and race no matter how many times that is, once, twice, 10 times, 20 times, whatever it is. Being able to, continue to build the businesses and, get them to a great place. Obviously, that takes a lot of hard work, effort, and just being creative as possible. And, just continue to kind of just, enjoy life with people I love, family, friends, all that stuff, just putting together the best opportunities that I can so that I can live life to the best that I can and be here for as long as I can with great people. And, at the end of the day, just give all the glory to God for everything He's done to keep me here. Because I could have definitely left quite a few times, but I'm still here.
That faith has to be strong when you have a goal. I feel like it's really helpful. So where can the people find you on social media if they want to follow along with your career and everything you're up to?
Yeah, anybody looking for me on social media, just it's very easy. Just type in my name. I don't have any fake names anywhere, so I'm not like Joe Bob, 36. I'm like Jesse Iwuji, so it's JESSE_IWUJI. You type it in pretty much on any social media platform, you'll find me. And if anybody has any questions on anything, they can always reach out. I do look at my DMs, I check them all, I answer all of them, unless it's like something really stupid. And I won't answer. When I say stupid, like just like spam crap. But as long as it's something legitimate, I usually will answer it, and I'll try to help out wherever I can. And if there's anyone who has any opportunities, like potential partnership deals and stuff like that, definitely answer those for sure. And yeah, that's me. So follow me on all the social media platforms because I put out content like every week. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. I'm all over.
Jesse Iwuji, I appreciate you for coming on today, man. I feel like this has been a beautiful conversation. If you inspired me, I know that you inspired the viewers, and this was a beautiful conversation. That's the easiest way to put it, so I appreciate you for coming on here tonight.
Most definitely. Thanks for having me. And also, too, for all the sim racers out there, like I said, hit up our e-racing association. They can go to www.eragaming.gg. They can sign up and jump into one of our events, try to qualify in, and see if they can win the cash money. $4,000 for the winner, $500 for second place, $250 for third, and $150 for fourth, and then $100 for fifth. So it's some money, and it's very cheap to get in.
I may need to get in on that. I appreciate you for your time, Jesse. I got a lot of sim racers watching right now, and they're all going to want to get in on that.
There you go.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, Cameron, how about that one? Jesse Iwuji, what do you think, man? I mean, I felt like it was a beautiful interview. Inspirational. That's the only word. If there was one word to describe this interview, inspirational. I felt like I was so inspired. I felt like when you're working hard for a dream and you're working hard to build a future career-wise, if you're trying to get into a corporate business, build your own business, that motivation that he broke down on just how you got to keep climbing, keep going, the days are going to get dark, it's going to get cold, and you got to keep going. Don't matter how long it takes, how many years it takes, you got to keep going with it. That was inspirational to me. The way that he worded that was beautiful. I'm going to clip that and make a video out of its own out of that.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it was great getting to talk with Jesse. I think we've been following each other for a while, so it's nice to actually have a conversation with him. Um, I was surprised to learn that he's a man of many business ventures. I just found out during the interview that that he's in real estate. He has his own trucking company. Um, so I mean, to have all those businesses and to get up every day and just take on all those tasks, that goes to show me that he is a very dedicated individual, um, and obviously very motivated. Um, so it was nice to it was nice to talk to Jesse. That's it. It was a good show. Dustin, do you want to wrap things up?
I do. I think it was a beautiful show. I mean, I'm going to go back and re-listen to that a few times.
Absolutely, me
I think he
too.
needs to become a motivational speaker at some point. Add that to
Yes.
career path number 8 or 9 there. But
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, I mean, you got to get up and just work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it and work at it. And he definitely preached that very well. But I appreciate everyone for tuning in tonight. That's episode number 23 in the books. We'll be back next Wednesday night, right before Coda. So we'll be back with another episode, and we'll be back weekly, streaming on DriveSmart, DLBTV, and the DLBTV Racing League. Appreciate all you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.